They just cook a feast. Oh man, it's really good. Grind all the time. Now what happens is this one specific time, Brian will throw the picture up. This is my family. This is my grandma's house. That's me, and then that's my 4 older brothers and my sister. Yeah, there it is, my family. But this is my grandma's house. And my grandma's house is located on the west side of the island. It's called Waianae, Makaha side. You don't know where that is. Jessica might. But it's a really beautiful place. The sun sets in the west, so it's always beautiful sunsets there. It's kind of cool. I want you to picture this. This is my grandma's house. This is like her house, the stage area, and this is like a kitchen area where we cook and we eat. And when you walk over here, right to this area, this gate, all of this is a beach. It's like beachfront, but not like resort California beachfront, like real native country beat down Hawaiian style beachfront. But it's still beautiful. And this gate right here. So what they did one day, one Christmas when I was a child, was way back. What they did was my 7 uncles and my dad, so my family, the men, they're really blue collar oriented. They can make stuff. You guys do it. I'm not. I can't fix anything, but my family can. And what they did, we have a little dinger boat. You know what a dinger is? It's like a boat with no motor. So when we go fishing, we gotta swim it out. And it's always me, I'm the youngest one. It's hard. So we take it out. They took it out one day for Christmas, and what they did was they put wood on the side and extra seats, so it was like a sled. 7 of my uncles, my dad, 8 reindeer, you know what I'm saying? So what they did is at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. around there at nighttime, they're out in the ocean. And they're like cruising there. My uncle's in the boat, and my dad and they're just had a rope attached to the sled, and they're just chilling. And then what happened was my grandma said, "Oh, come, I think Santa's coming." We're like, "What?" I was a little kid. I was like, "What?" Ran through that gate, wherever we were. So another thing, when you walk down that gate, one of my uncles, he's a professional rock maker. So he makes, yeah, I know, right? it's cooler than it sounds. He makes like for monuments or buildings, he makes rocks and he makes them the steps. And so that's what he did. So right now there's steps, you can walk down steps. Before, back in the day, it was just a sand hill. That was the worst. Like when we went to the beach before, we'd go down, we'd make sure we're there all day. Why? Because you don't want to go up before you have to climb up the hill back in the sand. Now we have steps. Before it was a sand hill. So what they did, we went to that exact spot, and what you see is Santa Claus out there. You see Santa Claus coming in. They started swimming my uncle in that sled, dinger sled. They started swimming in, they got to the shore, they started running. They started running all the way up the beach. The beach is pretty long. It's about 3 times the size of this room, the shore. They ran all the way up the hill, they stopped right there where we're standing. And it was cool, they came running in, and I was all like, "Oh, Santa Claus, he's brown." I was like, "Oh." For me, that's always going to be a memory that I personally think of. I don't know for you guys, I'm assuming you didn't have a Christmas experience like that. Maybe it is the trees. Maybe it's like the lights, the food. I'm going to mention food a lot today. Or maybe it's going to be this. Brian, show the next picture. It could be this scene. The nativity, the shepherds to the left, the wise men married Jesus. And I'm showing this because this could be, I knew about this before I even stepped foot in the church. And I want to point this out. So this is like if you come to Christmas and you're like, "Yeah, this is what I love about Christmas. I'm about to destroy your dreams." I want to point this out. This isn't right. This is false. I thought this was like the correct scene. The fact is, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but there's no way the shepherds and the wise men, there's no way they're there together at the same time. Does that make sense? Like last week, Brian spoke with the shepherds, right? That's when Jesus was born. And they went to the manger. You're going to see today in the passage that we look at in Matthew, the wise men, they weren't there when Jesus was born. They were there after his birth. I just want to point that out because this is something that we often think of, for sure. When Christmas time comes around, every time you go to museums, you always see some type of recreation of this. So I don't know. What do you think of during Christmas? And I also think of if we were to ask the wise men what they thought during Christmas, hey, you go up to them, what do you guys remember about Christmas during your times? I kind of wonder what they would say. So today's passage in Matthew, we're going to go through that, and we're going to take a look, and we're going to see, we're going to get a pretty good idea of what they would answer, what their answer would be. So today, we're just kind of going to go through the passage in Matthew chapter 2. We're going to go through the passage, we're going to take a look at the wise men, and we're not just going to take a look at how they met Jesus, we're really going to focus on their response. How they responded when they met Jesus. And the way they responded was in the worship. I'm gonna try to tie it in to how we can spend spend time worshiping God as well. Sound good? I pray. Heavenly Father, God, I thank you just for this time, for this opportunity. Truly grateful, truly honored to be up here. And God, in this time, I just pray that I would tremendously decrease, and Lord, that you would increase. I pray that your Spirit will fall afresh on us. I pray that your Spirit will be dwelling in each of us. I pray I can just be a mouthpiece. I can be a tool just to speak your words, Lord, not mine. Yeah, be with us as we study the wise men and as we study, and we try to learn how we can respond and encounter Jesus and respond by worshiping him. So thank you so much, God. Thank you for this time. Give you all the glory, all the praise in your son's name. Amen. All right. You have your Bible, turn to the book of Matthew. Book of Matthew. Yes. Matthew chapter 2. Now, everyone's heard this story. I like the way Stephen was talking about change things up a bit, because I guarantee everyone's heard this passage for sure. Matthew chapter 2, story of the wise men. Turn to Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Right, the visit of the wise men. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for so is written by the prophet, And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler, who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly, and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, Go and search diligently for the child, and when ye have found him, bring me word, that I too may come and worship him. After listening to the king, they went on their way, and behold, the star they had seen when it rose went before them, until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. Whoa. The star of Bethlehem. I like that, just to let you know. So, today, you heard this before. I guarantee you heard the Magi, the wise men, and the star of Bethlehem before. What we're going to focus on, we're going to try to focus on the wise men, but before we can look at how they respond to Jesus by worship, what do we know about the wise men? Not a lot, for sure, not a lot. I think the wise men are mentioned, there's a magician who's mentioned in Acts. They're kind of referred to back in the Old Testament a few times, specifically in Daniel. There's not a lot mentioned about the wise men. The Bible doesn't say much. This passage, Matthew 2, this is pretty much the primary. You want to learn about wise men in the Bible, you turn to this. So we don't know a lot. So what we're going to do, we're going to draw 4 points. 4 points about the wise men, and basically it's going to help us paint a better picture of what the worship, when they worship Jesus, what it looked like. So the first one, we get a kind of a clue in verse 1, where it says wise men from the east came to Jerusalem. Came from the east. Where did the wise men come from? Where? Good one, Irish is this thing, the east. The wise men, many scholars believe that the wise men came from Persia. They're from Persia. So, cool story, man. Thanks. No, that's actually pretty significant. See, in Persia, look at history. In Persia, the Persians, they overtook Babylon. They overtook the Babylonians. And this is how the Persians, this is how they became really well crafted in the arts such as like mathematics, history, science, and specifically astronomy, studying the skies, looking for signs in the skies. The Babylonians, they're really good at that. They thrived in that. So when the Persians overtook them, that's how they adapted. Now, the wise men are part of the Persians, and they learned this. The wise men became very, very good at understanding the skies and astronomy. Now, this is kind of important. Why? Back then, the way you became powerful and well respected in the community, it's from learning these arts. The wise men, they're perfect in it. They're excellent in it. So what they did, they actually became the most powerful group in Babylon. So that's the first point. The job is really big. The wise men were powerful. They're well respected amongst the community. Let's keep going. In verse 2, you have the wise men coming to Herod, asking, "Where is he who has been born, King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose." This is big too. The thing about the wise men, this shows that they're biblical. They're religious. See, scholars believe that. So in Persians are monotheistic. monotheistic, meaning they believe in one God. An example, the Hawaiian culture, they're polytheistic. In a sense, they have like the goddess of fire, Pele, the goddess of water, Hiaka. They have like goddess, God. But us, we believe in one God. We believe in God, Jesus. So we're monotheistic. And that's important because it was easy for them. It was easy for them to learn about our faith. And many scholars believe that the wise men, they learned about our faith through Daniel, the prophet Daniel. They spent a lot of time with Daniel when they went into exile. So basically it was Daniel that started teaching them about our God, the one true God, and especially the coming of the Messiah and the star that would appear. And that's cool. That's cool to know that they're biblical, they knew about this. So that's two things we got to draw on so far. They're powerful and biblical. But when we were prepping for this, me and Brian and I, speech major, we couldn't help but notice like this direct comparison drawn out from the shepherds and the wise men. Last week, right, Brian talked about the shepherds, the messengers, the angels called them. Verse 14, I tried to quote it last week when I was worshiping, failed, you remember that. The shepherds, they're kind of considered the low society, right? Wise men considered the high. You know, the poor, the rich, probably lived in a house out by the sheep. Wise men probably lived in a palace. I kind of just thought, like, where do you think, like, you stand? Where do you think you stand amongst, like, a shepherd, wise man? I know, yesterday I looked like a shepherd. I had my full-on beard. Who saw me this past week? I had my full-on beard. Oh, I was shepherd looking. I don't smell like one, Old Spice. The point of this question isn't the pinpoint, you're like, oh, man, am I a shepherd? Am I a wise man? The point of this is that it doesn't matter if you're a shepherd, if you're a wise man, if you're in between, like, God will use you. That's cool. God uses shepherds. They told him, go to Bethlehem, see his birth. He told the wise men to the star, and through teaching of Daniel, go to Bethlehem and celebrate his birth, celebrate the first Christmas.